We recognize that as commissioners, you are often tasked in dealing with tough state-mandated and usually unfunded requirements. It's difficult, we understand that. And frankly, I think that you handled the watershed implementation plan well. I think you sent a draft off. You didn't sign it. You sort of thumbed your nose up at the state. I think it's time for us to do that again. I think we need to take a position to let the state know, just as Mr. Belinsky just said, just as Mr. Schneckenberger said, this is Cecil County. The governor of the state of Maryland should focus on state issues. Let's let Cecil Countyans focus on Cecil County issues. So I'm suggesting you do it again. Go ahead and put together a draft map. I'm going to talk a few seconds about what I think that draft map should look like. Send it off. Send it unsigned. Send a message to them. Yeah, I know they're threatening. We're not going to fund this. We're going to take away your rights. Game on. Let's try it. Somebody's got to take a stand. Let's be a leader. Right now, we're a leader. Right now, Cecil County is a leader in this whole push. I was down at Mako. I attended a reception down there. And what I heard was that Cecil County is one of the first counties to actually put together a draft map. We're way ahead of the rest of the state of Maryland. Why don't we lead the front against the state? Why don't we be the leaders that say, hell no, we're not going to take it anymore? Now, what should that draft look like? It's been said, and I'm not going to be repetitive, but the fact of the matter is there were 40-some Cecil County citizens, emphasis on Cecil County citizens, that spent countless hours putting together a comprehensive development plan. That comprehensive development plan was reviewed by a planning commission, was reviewed by the county commissioners, and ultimately, with some changes, was approved. That plan was then sent to the Maryland Department of Planning. The Maryland Department of Planning approved that plan just a year ago, and now we're being told to rip it up, throw it away, and let's make everything green. Let's do it again. Let's thumb our nose up at the state of Maryland. Let's not send something approved. And if we are going to send a draft, let's make it look like what the Cecil County citizens have already agreed upon. Thank you.
As we discussed earlier, I think we had concerns. Number one, I think I've heard some things tonight say that Governor Valley, whatever his name is, O'Malley, has mandated this, that you have to do this by law. Well, Senate Bill 236 is a law, but it's not necessarily a law that is mandated because it's not a constitutional law that's going to be voted on in this next election. Therefore, it's not changing the Maryland Constitution. Article 66B says that the planning and zoning powers lay right here with the 5 county commissioners. I think we all agreed to that earlier. And I have faith that you'll make the right decisions, and I've heard a lot of different ideas here this evening. But I go back to something I asked about earlier, and I think President Mullen might have got it out of his office, but the map of 2010 of the comprehensive plan is now here with us. We have a comprehensive plan that spent many, many hours of people's time of this county to develop. I think I'd copy the comprehensive plan map, I'd sign it, and send it down with best regards and say, this is what we're going to follow until we need to do something else. I highly encourage you to look out for it. One of the things I really am concerned about in this county is we're a growing county. We've got to face reality. We're up here. We're on major highways. We've got water and sewer in some areas. We're going to hope to extend more water and sewer. But we need affordable housing. Our children need a place to live that's affordable. And you can't look across all these things. And I think this is often looked at in the comprehensive plan. And if we have to do this by December 31st, let's do something that at least has been through tasks and hearings and input from citizens with a lot of hard work, and keep properties to where we know what we're doing with. We have a perfect example here this evening, right, wrong, or indifferent, that nobody seems to know. I'm sorry, the planning department knew, but maybe the citizens didn't know. And maybe that's an issue that we have to take as well. I encourage you to use the existing comprehensive map or the closest thing to it to go forward with meeting the State of Maryland Department. It's the Department of Planning who's insisting this be done. You know, or you can send them a Dear John letter.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. I love my country. I love Cecil County. I love my farm. And I'm a single woman farmer. And I love my family. I would love to give my 27-year-old son, who is struggling to make it through the world on a small amount of pay for the education that he does have, the opportunity to also live on my farm. I live in a barn. Yes, I live in a barn. My barn and my house are attached to one another. I can't give him another piece of property on my farm. We can no longer develop Cherry Grove Farm because my father, in his infinite wisdom, wanted to keep all 4 of his daughters on the farm, and he gave each one of us a piece of property. We all know what 4 means. I'm going to give you a number that I want you to consider. $2,066,177.00. I had to practice writing that amount. That is the amount I had to write as the executor of my parents' estate to the federal government for estate taxes. Would you please tell me how I can ever recoup that money? Or my sisters and I could ever recoup that money when you take away our rights? Additionally, on a personal level, I am also the recipient, through inheritance, along with my sisters, of an EPA remediated Superfund site in the state of Delaware, which I can't give away, but I still dutifully pay my taxes on that with my sisters every year. I love my farm. I love my family. I love Cecil County. I love to get up every morning and look at the sun rise. I like to see the sun set on the BC Cove. I'd like to continue to be able to live here with the option, as I am turning 60 in 2 weeks, of maybe being able to sell my property at some time and make some money on it. Thank you very much.
My family bought my farm in 1964, and we've farmed it actively. A lot of the farmers, okay, are cash poor. Their equity is in their land. And when the father dies and leaves the farm to the son, okay, who is going to pay the inheritance tax? Federal inheritance tax, if it kicks in, about $1.5 million, which could easily be the value of a 1,000-acre farm, or maybe that would be worth $6 million under current zoning laws. Okay, and there's the 7%, I believe, Maryland inheritance tax. What this will do when the farmer doesn't have the liquidity to come up with the inheritance tax, the federal government will auction the farm off. We'll actually see diminishing farmland, or it'll be going to waste and not used as farmland. Second of all, okay, the Constitution says the government cannot take property without just compensation. I don't know how anybody can't see that that's what's happening here. I had equity in my farm, okay, and if I can't develop it when I'm old and have to go in a nursing home for 20 years, and I only have my health insurance that pays for my care for 90 days, okay, I'm going to be up a creek. Every farmer is going to be up a creek, okay, if he can't sell some building lots to pay the inheritance tax in order to save the rest of the land, or maybe, okay, to buy additional farm equipment so he can keep farming. And lastly, I would like to remind all the politicians, they're collecting money from us, okay, and then they use teams of lawyers to enslave us. This is our property, not yours, but not Governor O'Malley's, not any other politician. If they want open space here in Maryland, I suggest we confiscate the land of all the politicians first, tear down their house, and then we'll have open space.
So that when his kids had children, that we would have a place for them to build a house. And for my grandchildren to have a place to build a house. He has 40 acres on one side of the road and 30 on the other. And that 40 acres was bought so that someday that his kids and his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren would have a place to build and live in Cecil County. And we fall in the tier 4, or it will take that away from our children and our grandchildren. And I'm just asking that you would consider the people who have worked all their lives to give something to their kids so they don't have it. And you're taking that away, and it's just not right. And I really think that you need to take into consideration that these people out here have worked all their lives that they can give something to their kids and grandchildren. That, you know, God's not making any more land, but you shouldn't take our right away for what we worked for and what we paid taxes on and did so that our kids would have something. It's just wrong.